Hello there and welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Maybe you're tucked under warm blankets with the lights turned low. Or maybe your mind is still wandering, slowly untangling the threads of your day. Wherever you are, this is your space to slow down, to drift gently, and to let your thoughts rise and fall like the breath in your chest. Tonight, we'll begin a journey through something invisible, but always with you. A force you've never seen, but you felt every moment of your life. Gravity. Not just the thing that keeps your feet on the floor. Not just the quiet reason why things fall, but a whispering thread that ties stars together, that holds galaxies in their swirling arms, and in some corners of the universe, collapses matter into a darkness from which not even light can return. But that comes later. For now, let's start with something closer, something gentle. The way gravity wraps around your body like a familiar coat. You don't notice it most of the time. It's always there, pressing softly against your spine, letting your head rest into your pillow just so. It is not loud. It doesn't push or pull with violence. It simply is the quiet agreement between your body and the earth below you. Every cell in you knows gravity. Your bones are shaped by it. Your muscles respond to it. Even your blood flowing softly through capillaries and veins moves with its guidance. You're not on earth, and you're held by it, embraced by it like a child asleep in the arms of a parent. This same embrace holds oceans in their basins. It draws the tides forward and back, as if the moon were gently pulling a blanket up and down across the sea. It's gravity that gives oceans their weight, that presses the atmosphere close to Earth. Layer upon layer of air you breathe without even thinking. Without gravity, clouds wouldn't float, rain wouldn't fall, rivers wouldn't know which way to run. Look up, imagine the moon, round and quiet, glowing with borrowed sunlight. The moon orbits because Earth holds it close, not with ropes, not with chains, but with the force that reaches across distance. It is a soft tether, an unbreakable rhythm. The moon circles us in silence, and we too are dancing. Because Earth orbits the sun, not because it chooses to, but because gravity curves its path like a hand curving the swing of a pendulum. A delicate balance between falling inward and rushing away. This too is gravity, not just a pull, but a pattern, a kind of agreement between motion and mass. And the sun, bright, blazing, powerful, is also caught. Our solar system is part of a greater spiral turning around the center of the Milky Way, all of it governed by the gravity's steady hand. The deeper you look, the more you see how this force binds the universe together. It pulls small things to great things, keeps dust spinning into stars. It gathers galaxies like autumn leaves caught in a whirl of wind. But what is it? It isn't something you can touch. You can't scoop up a handful of gravity or paint it on a canvas. You can only witness what it does. Isaac Newton saw it in the falling of an apple. Not just a fruit tumbling from a branch, but a pattern, the same one that governs the moon's path. Later, Albert Einstein reimagined gravity not as a force, but as the shape of space itself. He asked us to imagine space and time as a soft, stretchable fabric. Anything with mass presses into that fabric, not tearing it, but curving it. You can picture it like this: a bedsheet held tight and a heavy ball placed in the middle. The sheet sags, roll a marble across it, and the marble curves around the dip, The heavier the object, the deeper the sag. The deeper the sag, the stronger the curve. Now imagine Earth on that fabric, then the sun, then stars, 1,000 times heavier. And finally, the black holes so heavy, so dense, that they make the fabric fold in on itself. So deep, not even light can find its way out. But we're not there yet. Right now, you're here breathing still, warm under the pull of Earth's gentle gravity. You are not falling, even though you are always technically falling around the sun. Even the sun is falling, pulled toward the heart of the galaxy, where something unseen waits. Gravity shapes the story of everything. It's the first character in our tale, the quiet conductor behind the cosmic waltz. And yet, it never demands to be noticed. Maybe you feel a little heavier now, not in a burdensome way, but grounded, rooted, held, as if Earth were reminding you, I've got you. You don't have to hold yourself together all the time. Gravity does it for you. As you lie here, feeling that steady embrace, know that you're part of a grand connection. Every star you see tonight, every drifting planet, every swirling galaxy plays by gravity's rules. There's no escape from its choreography, but also no need to escape. Gravity isn't your cage, it's your cradle. And yet, for all its gentleness, gravity has a darker face. Not evil, not cruel, but hungry. When enough mass gathers, when matter is compressed beyond comprehension, gravity doesn't just hold, it consumes. It bends space so deeply that space becomes a funnel. Time slows, light fades. There are places in the universe where gravity is so strong it swallows not just planets, but the very laws we thought we understood. These are the black holes. And while they sound like endings, they may hold beginnings, too. But we'll get there. In time. For now, let this thought carry you into your dreams. Gravity is the quiet hand that tucks you in at night. The whisper behind every orbit, every falling leaf, every rising tide. You're never truly alone in space. You're always held. And somewhere, far out in that holding fabric, something is starting. Twofold. Something is pressing space beyond its limits. A tear in the quiet. A place where even light forgets the way home. Let's drift closer to the edge of the fabric, to the place where space itself begins to bend. In the next chapter, we'll float to the edge of space's gentle cloth and see what happens when it creases. Close your eyes now, if you haven't already. Let your body soften. Let your breath become slow and smooth, like a river with no need to rush. With every exhale, let yourself feel a little lighter. Not as if you're floating away, but as if gravity itself is giving you space to drift. Imagine yourself above Earth, not flying, not falling, just gently suspended in the black stillness of space. You're not alone here, not truly. All around you, in every direction, the universe stretches, but it doesn't stretch into nothing. This space, this tool, entity, is not a void. It is something. It has shape and motion and tension. It is a fabric, not a fabric made of threads or woven strands, but a fabric of space-time, invisible yet present. Imagine it like silk stretched taut across a frame, smooth, vast, responsive. When a planet rests amuck on this fabric, it causes a dent, a soft dip, like a weight placed on a trampoline. The more massive the planet, the deeper the dip. If a moon orbits nearby, it's not being tugged by a rope. It's simply moving along the curved path the planet has created in the fabric beneath it. And you are drifting across this cosmic cloth. As you move, you begin to see the dips and folds more clearly. There's Earth's soft depression, small but cozy. There's the sun's broader curve, pulling the planets gently inward, guiding them in circles and ellipses like beads on invisible wire. But look farther now. Look past the neat order of our solar system, beyond the warm light of stars. Out here, the curves become deeper, steeper. You float toward a place where the fabric doesn't just dip, it folds. Picture this: a sheet pulled so tightly in the middle, it begins to pinch inward. The fabric creases, not at the surface, but deep inside itself. And if enough weight presses down, if enough mass gathers in one place, the sheet tears. This is not destruction. It is transformation. This is what happens when a star dies. Not just any star, but a massive one, heavier than 100 suns. For millions of years, it burns brightly, fusing atoms in its heart. But one day, the fuel runs out. The light dims, and gravity, patient, quiet gravity, takes over. The star collapses. It falls inward faster than sound, faster than thought. Its atoms crush together. Its light is trapped. Its mass, once spread across 1,000,000 km, condenses into a single point, and the fabric of space beneath it folds. This fold becomes a black hole. Not a hole in the sense of an opening, not an emptiness, but a place where the laws of space and time break away from the forms we recognize. It's easy to imagine black holes as monsters, as devourers of light and matter. But here, from this peaceful distance, you begin to see them differently. Not evil, not alive, simply inevitable. A black hole is what happens when gravity has nowhere else to go. You drift above one now. You don't fall. Not yet. You simply float above the curve. The stars around you look strange. Their light bends, not sharply, but like sunlight in water, shimmering, curved, slightly wrong. That's what gravity does too. Light, when it folds space too tightly. Look closer. You'll see rings, halos of light, circling the black hole's edge. These are the last beams of light caught in orbit, trapped in eternal loops, circling the drain without ever falling in. This boundary, this last line, is called the event horizon. Beyond it, the fold becomes too steep. Beyond it, nothing returns. But here, just above it, you're safe. You're floating gently, listening, watching. The black hole does not pull at you with violence. Its influence is calm, slow, inescapable, but not sudden. This is what space-time looks like when it gives way. What's astonishing is not that black holes exist, is that we can know they do. They do not shine, they do not speak, but their presence warps the world around them. Stars wobble in strange orbits. Light bends. The fabric isn't torn only in space. It's torn in time, too. Near a black hole, clocks tick more slowly. Moments stretch. From the outside, it looks as though anything falling toward a black hole freezes in place, never quite crossing the horizon. But from the inside, time flows normally. To cross the horizon would be in some ways unnoticeable. The fabric closes around you so gently you may not even feel the fold. You drift a little closer now, not enough to fall, just enough to feel the change. The stars behind you seem to stretch, their light curving inward. The pull is not harsh, but it's there. A slow, silent draw. And in this stillness, you realize something. Space is not fixed. It's not a stage upon which the universe plays out its story, is the story. Every planet, every galaxy, every black hole, not just existing in space, but shaping it, bending it, folding it. You are not just in the universe. You're part of the fabric. You carry your own small weight, your body, your mass, even your thoughts. They too press against the sheet just a little. You're not nothing. You're not invisible. You to leave a mark in the shape of space puss. And as you float above this fold, this cosmic crease in the cloth, you wonder what lies beyond. What happens at the edge of the fold where light cannot leave and time forgets how to move? That question calls to you now, softly. Not a threat, not a scream, just a question hovering at the edge. And so you turn your attention to the boundary, the quiet edge between what we know and what lies beyond. In the next chapter, we follow a star as it falls inward, and not in chaos, but in quiet surrender into the beginning of a black hole. In the darkness of space, not all endings are violent. Some happen slowly, quietly. You're drifting now through a soft sea of stars, glittering points of warmth scattered across the velvet sky. Some are small and cool, glowing with quiet orange light. Others shine blue and sharp, young and restless. But one up ahead burns larger than the rest. It pulses with heat and time, its surface boiling, its light bathing nearby dust in golden waves. This is a massive star, one of the giants, and for millions of years it has burned steadily, holding gravity at bay with the pressure of its own light. Inside, it fuses elements, turning hydrogen into helium, helium into carbon, layer after layer, like the rings of an onion made of fire. This balance, gravity pulling in, light pushing out, is what keeps the star alive. It's a constant negotiation, a gentle standoff, but every fuel runs dry eventually. Even a star must one day spend the last of its fire. You float nearby as that moment approaches. The outer layers shiver. The light flickers just slightly inside. There is a silence beginning, a space where fusion can no longer happen. And when that fire goes out, even for a moment, gravity no longer waits. The star begins to collapse. It doesn't explode outward, not yet. Instead, it folds inward upon itself, faster than sound, faster than light can escape. Imagine a building so tall it folds into its own shadow, story by story, until all that's left is weight. You drift closer, not afraid, just aware. The outer shell of the star peels away in waves, shedding mass, while the core contracts. All the light that once fought against gravity is gone. There's no more resistance. In this deep silence, the star's heart becomes unimaginably dense. A spoonful of it would outweigh mountains, but it doesn't stop there. The collapse continues, unstoppable. And in this final act, something extraordinary happens. The collapsing core passes a threshold. The pressure becomes so intense, so absolute, that space itself begins to fold inward. The mass condenses not just into something heavy, but into a singularity. This is not a thing with size. It's not a dot, not a sphere. It is a point where the rules of space and time lose their meaning. A place where volume vanishes, a location with no location. Around it, the fabric of space stretches tight, so tight that it forms a boundary, the event horizon. Beyond this line, nothing can return. Not light, not information, not even time as we understand it. You hover at a safe distance, watching. The black hole has been born, not with fanfare, but with silence. All that's left is its shadow, an emptiness where the star used to shine. But this emptiness is not gone. It is still there, more than there. It is now a deeper presence than before. Invisible, but undeniable. Its gravity remains even stronger now. You can see its pull in the nearby stars, their light bent into graceful arcs as they circle the hole where the star once lived. You feel it too, the strange sensation of being near something you cannot see but absolutely cannot ignore. The black hole emits no light of its own, but you see its edges marked in strange halos. Glowing rings of gas and dust spiral inward, heating as they fall. These are the last visible signs of matter losing its battle, and then quiet again. What was once a roaring star has become a whisper in space. But the story doesn't end here. Black holes are not just dead stars. They are new objects with new rules. They shape everything around them. They slow time. They focus light. They curve space with more intensity than anything else known. Even if you tried to resist, tried to pull away, you'd feel their gravity stretch across space like a net, not yanking you in, but reshaping the path you take gently. Absolutely. And still, from a distance, there is beauty here. The elegance of collapse, the silence of transformation, the idea that something so loud, so radiant, could end not in a bang, but in a folding inward so complete it becomes the quietest thing in the universe. You float weightless in the wake of what just happened. The black hole is not large. It's only a few dozen km across, but its gravity reaches across light years. All that power in a space so small, it's not something to fear. Exactly, not from here. Instead, you feel awe. Not the kind that shouts, the kind that hums in your chest. A sense that the universe holds wonders far deeper than eyes alone can see. And even now, in this stillness, you wonder if light can't escape. Matter disappears inside. Time itself slows down. What does it mean to cross that boundary? What happens at the edge of the black hole, the event horizon? Can anything fall in without falling forever? Next, we drift to the invisible border, the event horizon, where space ends and a new kind of silence begins. You're drifting now, weightless again, quiet again. The black hole is in front of you, not roaring, not glowing, but they're undeniably there. And as you approach, something begins to change. Not suddenly, not all at once, but like mist thickening in the air or a melody slipping out of tune. It's not the black hole itself that changes you, it's the boundary around it. The event horizon is not a wall, it isn't solid. You could pass through it and not feel a thing. No bump, no flash, no line drawn in glowing ink. But this horizon marks the edge of what can return and what cannot. Imagine this, you're walking toward a fog. Behind you, the world is sharp, trees, light, sky. Ahead of you, the fog thickens until nothing returns from within it. Not sound, not light, not time. The event horizon is like that, a veil beyond which information is lost, not because it is hidden, but because the very shape of space turns inward. You're floating just outside it. Now this is the last place where light can still escape, the final outpost of visibility. From here, you can see the strange ballet of matter skimming the edge, gas spiraling in, heating, glowing before vanishing in silence. Time begins to feel stretched. Out here, far from Earth, your own clock ticks as it always has. 1 second, another. But if someone were watching you from far away, from Earth perhaps, they'd see you move slower and slower as you drift toward the horizon, not because you're resisting, but because time itself has begun to curve. To them, you would appear to freeze at the edge, but to you, everything feels normal. You breathe, you blink, space around you warps, but your body remains yours. That's the strange beauty of the event horizon. From your perspective, nothing special happens. From the outside, everything stops. You're on the border of two worlds, one where space flows outward and one where space only falls inward. There is no return from the event horizon. Not because something pushes you down, but because all paths, even those that once moved outward, now lead inward. Imagine a river whose current becomes so strong that even the fastest swimmer, even a beam of light, can no longer move upstream. That's what space becomes inside the horizon. Not a place of downward motion, but a place where every direction leads toward the center. The horizon is quiet, peaceful. There's no chaos here, just inevitability. All around you, light dances in strange patterns. Some beams circle the black hole endlessly, caught in orbits that never quite escape. Others are bent and flung outward, distorted like reflections in rippled glass. This boundary is not just where things disappear, it's where our understanding begins to fray. The laws of physics we trust so dearly, equations, constant certainties, they begin to whisper now. They don't stop working, they just struggle to describe what's happening here. You feel the mystery, not as fear, but as curiosity. You are standing at the limit of knowledge, peering into something so simple in shape, yet endlessly complex inside. You wonder what it would feel like to fall through. Would it be a free fall like skydiving? Would there be color, pressure, noise? No, it would be silent, smooth. You would fall as gently as a leaf caught in a draft, and yet every second would bring you deeper into a place where space folds in on itself, where time stretches toward infinity. You think back to the star that became this black hole. Its death left no remains, only this, a place in space, where the story turned inward. You realize the horizon is not the end. It is a beginning too. From afar, the event horizon is the only part of the black hole we can truly see. The singularity at its center, that point of infinite density, is hidden, but the horizon outlines it like the edge of a shadow. You reach out metaphorically, gently, to this soft, invisible line, not to cross it, but to feel the weight of its existence. It is not something to fear, it is something to respect, a cosmic threshold that humbles even light. And in this silence, something else stirs within you, a question. What if Earth came too close to such a horizon? What if our blue world wrapped in clouds and oceans, and life began to spiral inward toward one of these unseen borders? How close could we come before noticing? What would the first signs be? The question echoes in the folds of your mind, gently unsettling, like a ripple in calm water. Because back home, Earth spins quietly through space, safe, familiar, but not immune to gravity's far reach. And now you turn slowly, your attention away from the black hole's edge and toward your home, toward the planet you left behind to ask a simple, weighty question. What would happen if a black hole came close to Earth? In the next chapter, we drift homeward to see Earth's quiet place in the galaxy and the presence that lies at its heart. You begin to drift again, away from the darkness of the event horizon, away from the warped folds of space and the stillness that surrounds them. You're pulled by memory now, not by gravity, but by a quiet tug in your chest. You turn toward home. The journey back to Earth is slow and gentle. You don't rush, there is no need. Time out here moves like molasses, smooth, unhurried, heavy with silence. And as you travel, the Milky Way begins to reveal itself. It is not just a smudge of light in the night sky. It is a structure vast beyond imagining, a spiral galaxy like a cosmic pinwheel turning ever so slowly through space. Its arms stretch wide, glowing with the light of billions of stars. Between the arms lie clouds of gas, dust, and mystery. You're part of it, always have been. The sun, your stir, lives in one of the quieter corners, tucked into a spiral arm called Orion's Spur. Not too close to the center, not too far at the edge. It's a calm neighborhood, really. Stars are spaced far apart, with plenty of room for planets to orbit and grow. And there, nestled among those stars, floats Earth, blue and breathing, small but luminous in its own way. You approach slowly, watching as it grows from a shimmering dot into a sphere wrapped in clouds. It turns below you, wrapped in the soft glow of atmosphere. The oceans gleam like silk. The continents rest beneath layers of wind. The poles glisten. In white, Earth is not large, not in cosmic terms, but it is whole, balanced, alive. And yet, as peaceful as this place seems, you remember, even Earth is not sit still. The planet spins on its axis once every 24 hours, giving a sunrise and sunset. It orbits the sun once every 3 days, painting the seasons. The moon orbits Earth, and the tides rise and fall. All of it choreographed by gravity. But there's another motion, slower and harder to feel. The sun itself and Earth with it is orbiting the center of the Milky Way. It's a long journey. One lap around the galaxy takes more than 200 million years. No one feels it, no one sees it, but the entire solar system is moving, gliding along a curved path drawn toward the heart of the spiral. And what lies at that heart? You already know. A black hole. Not just any black hole, but one of supermassive proportions. 4 million times the mass of the sun packed into a space no larger than the orbit of Mercury. It's called Sagittarius, the quiet engine at the center of the Milky Way. From Earth, we don't see it. Not directly, but astronomers have tracked the stars that orbit near it. These stars move fast, their paths curving sharply. Something invisible, something immensely heavy is pulling them in. And though it lies over 25,000 light-years away, the black hole holds the galaxy together. Not with malice, not with intent, just with presence. Its mass curves the space around it, and everything else follows, including us. You might wonder, are we in danger? Is this sleeping giant something we should fear? But no, it is far, far away, and space, vast as it is, gives us room to breathe. Sagittarius A is not chasing Earth. It has no appetite. It simply sits in the center, doing what gravity does, holding, curving, shaping, and Earth is lucky. We live in a gentle orbit, at a quiet distance. We are far from the violent collisions that gave birth to black holes, far from the tight clusters of stars that might pull us off course. Our home spins steadily, almost invisibly, through the galaxy. But even from this safe distance, you can feel something hum beneath it all. A reminder that gravity doesn't sleep, that black holes exist not only in distant galaxies, but in the very heart of the one we call home. And if one can exist there, could others exist closer? Could there be small rogue black holes drifting suddenly through the spiral arms? Not supermassive, but born from dying stars, invisible, ancient, slowly moving. You turn your gaze outward, again, away from the center, toward the scattered stars around the sun. So many dots, so many paths. Is it possible that something is moving among them? Something dark, quiet, undetected, something coming closer. You don't know yet. But you feel the question settle softly into the folds of your mind. Because while Earth spins in peace, the galaxy keeps turning, and not everything that moves through it can be seen. Next, we travel deeper into the spiral, to the dark, silent center of the Milky Way, where the biggest black hole of all waits in stillness. You begin to move inward now, following the spiral arms of the galaxy as they sweep gracefully toward the center. The stars around you grow denser, closer. The quiet spaces between them narrow. You're not flying fast. The movement is calm, like drifting on a river that doesn't rush, but simply knows its way. Gravity is your current, soft, unrelenting. The heart of the Milky Way waits ahead. You've heard of this place before. You've seen it in telescope images, in artists' renderings. A bright clouded center glowing with golden light. But these images are only hints. The truth is harder to see because the galaxy's core is hidden. Thick clouds of dust veil the center from visible light. The stars there are packed so tightly together, their light overlaps and blurs. It's a crowded ballroom, and stars spinning at incredible speeds, locked in gravitational choreography. And yet, at the very heart, there is darkness, not empty space, not quiet in the way a room falls quiet, but a presence so concentrated that it seems to undo the space around it. This is Sagittarius A, the black hole at the center of our galaxy. You approach slowly, carefully. You're not close enough to fall in, just near enough to observe, to witness, and what you see is astonishing. Stars race around it like moths caught in orbit. Some complete their loops in mere years, a blink in cosmic terms. To move that fast, they must be pulled by something enormous. But there's nothing to see, no glow, no form, just a blank space, a region where all light vanishes. The black hole itself emits nothing, but the gas and dust spiraling into it do. You watch as hot material twists into an accretion disk, a glowing, turbulent ring that radiates energy as it falls inward. It is not a peaceful place this close to the center. There is motion, pressure, heat, but the black hole itself remains still, perfectly still. Not because it's asleep, but because it doesn't need to move. Everything else moves around it. You hover there listening. There's no sound, only the impression of motion. The knowing that you are near something ancient, powerful, and impossibly dense. The stars don't question it. They follow their paths, obeying the curves that space lays down for them. And you begin to understand this black hole is not just a curiosity, it is an anchor. The entire galaxy swirls around it. It's like the weight at the end of a mobile, keeping everything balanced. Without it, the Milky Way would not hold its shape. Stars would drift, the spiral arms would loosen, but with it, the galaxy stays whole. The stars, the dust, the planets, the light, all of it dances around this unseen center. And Earth, so far away, is part of that dance. You watch the motion for a while longer, the way stars bend and glide, the way light curves in subtle arcs. It feels almost like watching water swirl in a tide pool. Beautiful, rhythmic, unforced. Time feels different here. Not faster, not slower, just deeper. And you think, this is what stillness can look like. This is what power without movement feels like. A force so strong it doesn't need to act, it simply is. You begin to float outward again, not hurried, just curious. If this black hole lies at the center of everything we know, could there be others that roam? Not supermassive ones, but smaller, born not from galaxies, but from stars. Could one pass near Earth? Could it arrive without warning? Would we see it, feel it? You turn back for one last look. The black hole does not acknowledge you. It does not need to. Its presence is permanent, patient, and unmoving. But the thought lingers with you. Not all black holes sit at the center. Some travel, some wander, and some time may be moving even now, closer than we think. In the next chapter, we follow one such traveler, a black hole on the move, and ask, can a black hole drift close enough to touch us? You leave the galaxy's heart behind, not because it has nothing left to show you, but because the universe is always in motion, and you are part of it now, a drifting listener, a quiet traveler. This time, you're following something darker, something that moves not with purpose, but with momentum. A black hole, not one of the giant ones at the center of galaxies, but a smaller kind born from a single dying star. These stellar mass black holes are scattered all across the Milky Way, each one a remnant of something once radiant. You watch it now ahead of you, not with your eyes, but with awareness. There's no light to guide you. The black hole itself is perfectly invisible. It emits no glow, casts no shadow, and yet it moves. It glides quietly through the galaxy, wrapped in its own gravity. It pulls space behind it like a long cloak. You feel the weight of it, even from a distance. Not a threat, not yet, just presence. How does it move? Black holes don't have engines. They aren't steering. But the universe is not still. Stars orbit, galaxies drift. Gravity is never idle. Sometimes when two stars are close and one of them explodes into a supernova, the force is enough to kick the remnant black hole into motion. It flies away like a stone flung from a sling. Other times, black holes are caught in the tidal flows of galaxies. They're pulled by gravity's tides, nudged and steered by the mass around them, like dust caught in air currents you can't see. And so they wander alone, invisible, silent. Some move fast, hundreds of kilometers. Others drift slowly, sliding between stars, with all the time in the world. You follow one now. It's moving toward the outer edge of the Milky Way, passing between Stars through clouds of gas, nothing stops it. Nothing alerts the worlds it passes. If it crosses a planetary system, the orbits might shift. If it passes close to a star, that star may wobble just slightly. Yes, it could. But near, in cosmic terms, is still unimaginably far. For a black hole to truly affect Earth, it would need to pass within a few light years, and even then, its pull would be subtle at first. Astronomers have searched for wandering black holes. We know they're out there. Some might be as close as a few dozen light years away, still far, but not unreachably so. We don't see them directly. We find them by what they leave behind. A slight lensing of light, a shifting star, a trail of motion that doesn't quite add up, but many may travel unnoticed. This one you're following now, it's cold, still blacker than black. It carries no debris, it accretes no matter. It's just moving, and as it travels, space bends gently around it. You drift closer. Even now, even here, there's no sudden pull, just a sense of curve, like skating down a wide, smooth hill you hadn't seen was there. If this black hole were to approach Earth's region of space, the first sign might be a change in stellar motion, a planet wobbling strangely, a comet knocked off course, or perhaps a shift in the moon's path, tides that seem just a little off. None of it would be dramatic at first, not explosions, not cataclysm, just a slow, quiet, unsettling. That's the nature of gravity. It whispers before it roars. You imagine this black hole continuing its journey, not with intent, but with inertia. It has no awareness, no hunger, and yet, if it passed too near the sun, it could disrupt the solar system. Planets might be nudged into different orbits. Some could be flung outward, others drawn inward. Earth's fate would depend on distance, angle, motion, a fragile ballet, all governed by gravity's rules. You feel the balance of it all, the delicacy, the way even the tiniest disturbance could ripple outward through space and time. But don't be afraid. The chances are low, the distances are vast, and still, it's worth wondering because the black hole keeps moving. And space has no borders. It doesn't move fast. It doesn't move with threat, but it moves past stars, past systems, perhaps one day past us, and the idea stays with you. Not sharp, not fearful, but gently unsettling. What if it did? What would change first? How would we know? Next, we listen to that question ripple through the darkness and feel the faint vibration of space itself as it responds. A tremor known as a gravitational wave. You drift through the quiet again, not aimless, but unhurried. The black hole you followed slips ahead, invisible still, its path marked only by the bending of space in its wake. You don't chase it now. Instead, you wait, you listen, because in the fabric of space, even silence leaves a trace. Black holes may not shine, but they speak, not with light or sound, but with ripples, deep and slow, like the movement of tides across an unseen ocean. These ripples are called gravitational waves, and you are about to feel one. Close your eyes even tighter. Now, not in fear, but in focus. Imagine space not as empty, but as soft, as something that can flex, that can carry motion, that can remember. A gravitational wave is not a thing flying through space. It is space stretching and compressing ever so slightly as the wave passes. You won't hear it, not the way you hear a bell or a breeze, But if you were standing still, with perfect instruments wrapped around your body, you'd feel the tiniest of shifts. A tug no stronger than the width of an atom. But even a whisper repeated far enough becomes music. The waves come when black holes move suddenly, when they collide, when they spiral inward and merge, when massive objects reshape the fabric too quickly for it to stay smooth. You're floating near the path of one such wave now. It doesn't crash. It doesn't knock you over. It passes through you, through everything, stretching and squeezing space as it goes. You feel it pass like a slow breath, a pulse through time itself. Gravitational waves move at the speed of light. They race through the cosmos, unchanged by matter, unbothered by dust or gas or darkness. They are among the purest messages the universe can send. And until recently, we couldn't even hear them. For centuries, the idea was only theory. Einstein predicted them, but no one could prove they were real. The shifts were too small, the space too vast, the noise of the cosmos too loud. But we learned to listen. In deep facilities on Earth, like LIGO and Virgo, giant instruments wait in patient silence. They don't watch the stars, they measure space itself. Laser beams bounce back and forth between mirrors, perfectly aligned. If a gravitational wave passes, it alters the distance between those mirrors by less than the width of a proton. And yet, we can measure that. We have heard black holes collide, not in sound, but in the trembling of reality. And from those tremors, we can map the invisible. You are listening now, not with ears, but with presence. A wave passes again, soft, rhythmic, maybe from two black holes that spiraled together 1 billion years ago. Maybe from something still hidden. It moves through you, through Earth, through the moon, through the spaces between atoms. Nothing stops it, but it doesn't damage, it doesn't break. It only tells a story of motion, of mass, of ancient gravity dancing in deep time. And that story reaches us long after the dance is done. That's the speed of darkness, not because it is slower than light, but because it carries messages no light can send. Darkness here is not a lack of seeing. It is the shape of gravity itself in motion. And in this darkness, you sense a different kind of awareness. Not thought, not purpose, but connection. A black hole moving unseen through the galaxy may pass unnoticed, but if it crashes into a companion, the universe will remember. It will ripple. Earth, though small, will feel that ripple. The ocean will stretch, the crust will shift, not in danger, not in disaster, but in rhythm. You wonder now, if a black hole were drifting toward us, would we know? Would we detect its influence in light, in gravity? Or would the first sign be a whisper through space itself, a subtle wave telling us that something heavy has moved? The thought settles around you like dust in sunlight, quiet, incomplete, and so you drift, still listening. Because sometimes the fastest warnings move not through space, but as space, and the universe is full of motion we cannot see. Yet still, somehow, we feel. In the next chapter, we explore what happens to time near a black hole and how your heartbeat might stretch in its presence like seconds turning into oceans. You followed gravity's whisper for some time now, through dark paths, through folds in space, through waves that ripple like breath through the fabric of everything. But tonight, we drift not into space, but into time, that quiet current. You live inside without seeing it. It carries you from moment to moment, soft and steady. You measure your life by it. You sleep, wake, grow, remember, all by time's gentle rhythm. But time is not fixed. It is not absolute. And nowhere is this more clear than near a black hole. You drift now near the edge of one, not falling in, not yet, just hovering at the quiet rim of its pool. Here the laws that feel so solid begin to bend. Out in open space, time moves evenly. A second is a second. A minute passes with a heartbeat steadiness. But near this massive gravity well, something changes. Imagine placing two clocks side by side. One stays with you, floating near the black hole. The other is far away, back home on Earth. You both start at the same time. Tick, tick, tick. But slowly, imperceptibly, the rhythm begins to shift. Your clock near the black hole ticks slower, not broken, not damaged, just stretched. To you, nothing feels different. You still breathe, you still think. But if someone were watching you from Earth, a friend perhaps, looking through a distant telescope, they would see you moving slower and slower. Your gestures would become syrupy. Your thoughts would seem paused. This is called time dilation. And it's not science fiction. It's a fact. A tested, measured, beautiful fact. Time and gravity are tangled. The stronger the gravity, the slower time flows. Even on Earth, a clock on the top floor of a building runs slightly faster than one in the basement. Astronauts orbiting high above return just a bit younger than if they'd stayed home. The differences are tiny, barely felt, but near a black hole, the effect is vast. You float near the event horizon now, and the seconds stretch. It's not that you feel time moving slowly, it's that everything else appears to race ahead. Look outward. Stars seem to spin faster. Distant galaxies drift across your view in what feels like a heartbeat. But it's not them moving too fast. It's you gently anchored in slow time. This is not a trick of the senses. It's a fundamental truth of the universe. Gravity bends, not just space, but time itself. You wonder for a moment what it would feel like to truly fall in, to cross the event horizon, to drift into the black hole's core. Would time stop entirely? Would one last thought stretch forever? Or would time continue, would just differently, folding inward as space narrows around you? Some say that to fall into a black hole is to experience the last instant of the universe, frozen and elongated into infinity. Others believe your story continues, just hidden from the rest of the cosmos. Here, near the edge, you're balanced between those ideas, held in a soft contradiction. You're close enough to feel the curve of time, but far enough to return if you choose. And so, you rest here. No rush, no destination, just the awareness that time bends, that it can slow and stretch and hold you in its arms like warm water. You let your thoughts elongate, one memory, one breath, one question. They take their time because time here belongs to gravity, and you are a guest in its domain. Even light struggles to keep pace. It bends inward, delayed, softened by the very path it must follow. You drift here, suspended in this slowed moment, and you wonder if time can stretch like this. What happens to light itself? What happens to the beams that try to flee a black hole's grip? What paths do they take? In the next chapter, we follow the journey of a light, watching it bend, twist, and surrender as it nears the edge of the dark. You are still near the black hole, floating, breathing, thinking slowly. Time stretches gently behind you like a soft shadow. But now, something else begins to change. Not the feeling of time, but the movement of light. You may think of light as straight, always going forward, always escaping darkness, always faster than everything else. But light, too, has its limits, not in speed, but in path. And near the edge of a black hole, light begins to curve. You see it now, a beam from a distant star. It travels toward you, golden and fine. But instead of arriving in a straight line, it arcs gracefully, like the path of a leaf caught in a gentle swirl of wind. This bending of light has a name: gravitational lensing. Gravity doesn't just pull on matter, it pulls on space itself. And when space bends, so too does the path of anything traveling through it, even light. From where you float, the black hole no longer looks like emptiness. It looks like a distortion, a warping of everything behind it. Stars appear in strange places, their light stretched into arcs and rings. Shapes curve around the edge of the blackness, an effect called an Einstein ring. You watch, mesmerized. Not because the black hole glows, it doesn't, but because it warps everything else around it into strange, beautiful patterns. Light cannot escape from inside the event horizon. But just outside that boundary, it fights. Some beams skim the edge like skaters tracing the rim of a frozen pond. Others spiral inward, circling the black hole again and again, caught in orbits of eternal hesitation. Still others try to flee, but leave altered, redder, stretched, tired from the climb. This is called gravitational redshift, a soft lowering of frequency as light escapes deep gravity. You feel this redshift, not as color, but as tone. Imagine light as sound, a high, pure note dropping gently down into a slow, deep hum as it moves away from the black hole's grip. Everything here slows, not just time, but light's voice. And still, some beams do not escape at all. They vanish into the curve, like threads disappearing into fabric. You imagine a photon near a tiny particle of light setting off from a distant galaxy, crossing millions of light years, only to fall saintly into this darkness. Not destroyed, just absorbed, gone from our knowing. This is what black holes do. They erase paths. They remove futures, not with cruelty, but with gravity. And you, hovering nearby, begin to wonder, what if Earth fell into that curve? Would its light vanish too? Would every sunrise and ocean glint and lightning flash become part of the shadow, never to be seen again? Perhaps, but not all light is lost forever. Some escapes, some reaches you, some makes the journey through warped space, bringing news. From the edge, it reminds you that even near black holes, light has a voice. It sings of distortion. It paints the shape of invisible gravity. It curves around the unseen to show us where mass lies hiding. This is how we find black holes in the first place. Not by seeing them, but by seeing what they do to light. Astronomers search for starlight that moves wrong, that shifts or stretches or vanishes. They look for strange rings, for shadows in the sky that shouldn't be there. And when they find those clues, they find the black holes. Light becomes the map and gravity the cartographer. You drift now in a place where light forgets its straight lines, where brightness bends and the edges of visibility blur. You're surrounded by beauty that cannot be seen directly, but only revealed by its distortion. It is humbling, it is elegant, it is quiet. And still you wonder about home. Earth, so far from here, still tucked into its spiral arm, still circling its sun. If a black hole came near, would we see its effects in the light first? Would the stars around it stretch, shift, disappear? Would our skies flicker with strange signs? Perhaps, but perhaps the first signs would be more subtle. A change not in stars, but in orbits, in tides, in the moon. In the next chapter, we return to Earth and to the soft blue cradle that holds us, and begin to imagine what happens when something dark moves just a little too close. You're drifting home again. The black hole's warping pull fades behind you like a dream slipping from morning memory. Not gone, just quieter. Earth returns into view, round, familiar, turning slowly beneath the scattered light of stars. But tonight, something is different. Not yet a disaster, not chaos, just a whisper of change. Imagine now a future, one thread among billions. A path where a wandering black hole has moved into the outskirts of our solar system. It's not close, not yet. Far. Beyond Pluto, beyond the cloud. Far enough that no one notices, but its presence begins to matter. The sun still shines, planets still orbit, but gravity is delicate. You float just above Earth, watching it spin. From here, it looks the same. Oceans swaying in blue and green, clouds painting slow spirals through the atmosphere. But even now, a black hole's distant mass is shifting the balance. Earth's orbit begins to stretch, a little longer, a little wider, not enough to pull us free from the sun, just enough to nudge us off rhythm. A year is still a year, but something inside it feels slightly off. Seasons arrive too early or linger too long. The tilt of Earth's axis trembles just a fraction. Astronomers might notice first tiny deviations in the paths of distant comets, a wobble in the timing of known stars. Someone runs the numbers, recalculates the drift, and the math says something strange is pulling, and still, back on Earth. Most lives go on unchanged. Children sleep through longer nights. Tides begin to wander slightly off script. Satellites whisper their confusion to ground stations, their expected orbits altered by a hand they cannot see. But for now, it's just mystery. No one can point to the sky and say, there it is. The black hole remains invisible. It doesn't glow. It doesn't roar. It doesn't strike. It simply pulls. A stimulant influence from the deep. You drift lower, just above Earth's surface. The moon rises over an ocean, gentle and full. Its path, too, begins to shift. The moon and Earth are in a gravitational dance, tied by tides, bound by rhythm, but a black hole's presence, even far away, changes the background music. The moon rises a little sooner or later. Its orbit becomes slightly more elliptical. The tides begin to respond. Not with floods, not yet, but with subtle unrest. You can feel it now. The difference between the world as it was and the world touched by gravity's distant reach. Like the first deep note in a song that started soft and low, but is beginning to build, and you, floating above it all, see how fragile the balance has always been. Everything on Earth, and from the blooming of trees to the migration of whales to the frozen breath of polar winters, all of it is tuned to gravity, a silent framework that shapes every rhythm. And when that framework shifts even slightly, the ripples reach everything. A migrating bird flies a little too far. Echoes of a black hole that doesn't speak, but whose presence cannot be denied. You wonder if people begin to understand, what would they feel? Fear, awe, peace. Would it be like watching a slow eclipse where shadow creeps across the light, not in threat, but in mystery? Or would it be more like hearing a low hum just beneath the silence, steady, growing, pulling? The black hole still waits far beyond the planets. It moves with patience, but gravity is already doing its work. Earth remains whole. The sky still opens with stars, but the path is shifting. And you float above this world, not alarmed, but deeply aware. This is how it begins. Not with noise, not with collapse, but with a quiet bending of space, a slow lengthening of shadows, a deepening pause in time's flow, and the question begins to rise in you. If gravity is already changing the shape of Earth's motion, what will it touch next? In the next chapter, we look skyward to the moon and watch as its loyal orbit begins to tremble under gravity's widening hand. You turn your gaze now from Earth to its quiet companion. The moon rises gently from the planet's edge, calm and pale, pulling the tide, guiding the night. It borrows, reflects, hums back the song of sunlight. You've seen it in every phase, as a crescent smile, as a round lantern, as a ghost in the morning sky. But tonight, something has changed. You float silently between the earth and moon, feeling the subtle tug of forces shifting. The black hole, still far, still unseen, has begun to reach its influence farther in. It is a long, slow reach, not a sudden grasp. But even from this distance, the gravity of that dark traveler begins to tug on the threads of Earth's delicate balance, and the moon begins to drift. Not away, not inward, just slightly off pattern. A sliver of change in an otherwise steady orbit. For billions of years, the moon has danced with Earth, locked in rhythm, locked in gaze. One side, always facing us, its motion steady enough to guide calendars, planting seasons, tides. But gravity listens to gravity, and the moon is pulled not only by Earth, but by everything else. Every mass in the universe speaks this silent language. Each star, each planet, each black hole tugging on every other in soft, invisible ways. A touch of elongation, a shift in timing. It is not chaos, not yet, but a loosening of an ancient waltz. On Earth, the tides notice first. They begin to arrive a little early, a little stronger in some places, a little weaker in others. Fishermen adjust their maps. Waves begin to whisper of something distant. In the sky, the moon's rise changes to slight shifts in position, barely perceptible to the casual gaze, but measured by those who watch carefully. The moon's role is not small. It stabilizes Earth's spin, keeps the seasons turning gently. Without it, our axis would wobble wildly, climates shifting with chaos. And now, even the tiniest change in its path begins to echo through the Earth's systems. You float above this scene, watching the moon orbit, not broken, not lost, but nudged. The black hole's gravity is a painter of wide arcs. It doesn't crash through. It sketches new curves that spread slowly through space. And the moon, sensitive as a pendulum, responds. You drift lower toward its surface. The silence here is complete. No wind, no water, just stone and shadow. Even here, the black hole's pull is faintly felt. Rocks balance differently. Dust settles in new patterns. Seismic monitors left by long-past missions register the softest tremble. It is not dramatic, but it is real. You stand on the edge of a crater, imagining how the moon sees Earth, that bright blue sphere now shifting slightly in space. Together, they orbit. Together, they tilt. And together, they begin to feel the gentle gravity of something unseen. The moon's light still reaches Earth at night. It still rises over oceans, still shines through windows, still stirs dreams in sleeping minds. But it is now a messenger, a signal in the sky that something is stirring far beyond. The moon shifts slightly, and with it the rhythm of Earth's breath. You listen closely and hear the change in the shape of its path. If the moon is shifting, what else will follow? In the next chapter, we look not up but around, as a dear Earth's atmosphere begins to change, and the sky tells a quieter, thinner story. You're floating just above Earth now, not far, just above the clouds. Whether the sky curves softly over the world like a blue shell, from here, Earth seems whole, still turning, still warm in sunlight, still humming with oceans and wind. But you've seen enough now to know sometimes change doesn't begin in fire or noise. Sometimes it begins in the quiet things, like the breath of air that holds us all. Earth's atmosphere, thin, invisible, essential, is a veil, delicate and temporary. If Earth were a peach, the atmosphere would be the fuzz. It seems thick when you stand inside it, when you breathe it, when the wind lifts your hair or a storm brushes your cheeks, but from space, it's barely there. A thin halo of blue gathered like mist against the curve of the planet. Now that halo begins to change. The black hole is still far away, but its presence, its gravity, is shifting Earth's balance. Even small changes in gravity stretch the shape of a world. Tides grow not only in oceans, but in land, in stone, in air, and the atmosphere is the easiest to move. You hover in it now, watching from just above the stratosphere. Clouds drift higher than they used to. Their edges wisp outwards, catching sun rays at odd angles. The air itself becomes thinner, flows. The upper layers stretch upward like warm fabric pulled gently toward the stars. The boundary between sky and space grows looser, more porous. Molecules once held tightly by Earth's gravity begin to rise, slower than dust, lighter than mist. Some escape entirely. This has always happened in tiny amounts, but now the rate increases. To measure, satellites orbiting Earth begin to drift differently. Their drag decreases. The resistance they once felt is fading, lower down. Rain falls in strange patterns. Cloud cover thins. Ultraviolet light grows bolder. You watch it unfold like a time lapse stretched over weeks, months, seasons. The sky still looks blue from the ground, but it is a paler blue, a higher blue, a sky that no longer wraps as tightly. At night, stars grow brighter. The edge between atmosphere and space becomes clearer. You listen now to the wind, to the way it moves over forests and mountains. It sounds the same, but the rhythm has changed. Air pressure alters slightly. Patterns become uncertain. Migratory birds rise higher in flight, as if following something they don't understand. And humans, they go on for a time most don't notice. The clouds still gather and rain. The clouds still gather and rain, but the changes are accumulating, invisible to daily life, but visible from where you are hovering just above. You imagine Earth breathing slow, ancient breaths. It is not a collapse, it is a loosening, a long goodbye. The atmosphere, always a borrowed thing, is being returned to space, molecule by molecule. And still, the ground below holds on. Mountains stand, rivers flow, cities glow at night. The black hole has not arrived. Its gravity has not yet consumed, but it has begun to rearrange, to write a new geometry in the shape of the sky. You feel it in your own breath, imagined here in this silence, a sky that no longer wraps you quite as closely. And as you drift, still held in Earth's gravity, still tethered to home, you look down once more and wonder if the sky can stretch. Can the ground stretch? Can the very shape of Earth begin to pull toward what waits in the dark? In the next chapter, we look down at the land itself as gravity's hand begins to knead and stretch the solid world. You drift lower, now down, through the thinning sky, past the high clouds, into the breath and rhythm of Earth's surface. You land gently on a quiet hillside, grass bending under no wind, the air calm, but the ground itself beginning to whisper, its molten core breathing heat through shifting plates, volcanoes sculpting, land quakes, cracking stone. But now the shaping comes from beyond. The black hole, still distant, is pulling. Not all at once, not with force or thunder, but with patience, with gravity. The oldest kind of persuasion. The Earth begins to stretch. You won't see it at first. Not in broken mountains or shattered cities, but in balance, subtle, steady, spreading. Imagine the planet as soft clay held lightly in invisible hands. Oceans, deep and slightly at the edges. Land rises in long, slow waves, not pushed, but drawn. Mountains, once rigid and proud, begin to lean ever so gently. Their roots deep in the mantle shift a little with each passing week. Plains begin to bow. The crust cracks softly, not cracking, but yielding. You place a hand on the ground. It feels the same, cool, solid, familiar, but beneath the rock is in motion. Earth's inner heat swells upward as tectonic plates adjust to new tensions. Not in violence, in rebalancing. Fault lines widen a hair's width. Volcanoes quiet and stir again. Ridges once stable now respond to the tug, and you feel it in your body. Your weight slightly reduced, your sense of balance quietly alert. From one side of the world to another, the force that binds us down pulls in slightly different ways. In some places, people grow tired more quickly, not from exertion, but from their bodies adjusting to a field that has changed. Not because of rain, but because the water is following the curve of a new Earth. You drift again, rising slowly above a continent, watching as rivers take slightly new paths. As old floodplains remember forgotten roles, even the air is learning these new shapes. Winds shift direction. Storms form where skies were once calm. All of it part of the stretch. Animals sense it. Whales change their songs. Birds route their migrations. Bees leave hives a few days earlier. Everything on Earth, and when the steps, that dance change, all things move differently. Yet none of this is abrupt. There are no alarms, no sirens, only change. Only the soft elongation of a world responding to a presence it cannot see but cannot resist. You pass now over the mountains that were once snowbound to be in, now bearing streaks of rock where ice has slid. You cross forests where trees lean slightly away from the east as if bowing to something just beyond the sky. And beneath you the ground breathes, not in panic but in preparation. The earth is not falling apart, it is adapting. You think again of the black hole, still far, still invisible, but now writing its presence into soil and stone. It does, and so do you, because in your own body you feel it too. Your step lighter, your balance shifted, your center of gravity such not quite where it used to be. The world you knew still turns, but it turns a little differently now. And you begin to what happens when the stretching continues, when gravity grows strong enough to not only shift shape, but to pull a planet apart. In the next chapter, we journey closer to the edge, to witness what happens when Earth is drawn so near, it begins to unravel strand by strand. Now you drift at the edge of closeness. The black hole, once far, once faint, is no longer a quiet suggestion. In space and Earth is nearing a place it was never meant to go. You hover just above it, a still observer in slow motion. But something in that turn is changing. The gentle stretching you saw before in oceans, clouds, and stone has not stopped, it has deepened. Gravity here is no longer balanced. On the side of Earth nearest the black hole, the pull is stronger. On the far side, weaker, because gravity's uneven hand does not simply move objects, it tears them. This process has a name, oddly whimsical, quietly haunting, spaghettification. You smile, maybe. At the word, it sounds soft, even silly. But what it describes is the slow unweaving of everything. It begins not with a snap, but with a stretch. You watch now as the Earth elongates. The side closest to the black hole reaches forward. The far side lags behind. They lean, bow, fall. The oceans rise not in tides, but in columns, great towers of water reaching outward, following gravity's invitation. Even the atmosphere begins to thread itself, no longer wrapping the globe, but stretching into tendrils. From space, Earth looks not round, but oval, then longer, then thinner, still a planet, still whole, but only for a moment more, because the difference in gravitational pull, stronger at the front, weaker at the back, is now too great for the forces that hold Earth together, and so it begins to come undone, layer by layer, region by region. The crust tears first, pulled into ribbons. Tectonic plates, once locked together, like puzzle pieces, slide apart, seams widen. Volcanoes spill sideways, but even it cannot hold. Atoms even now try to resist. They are held by electromagnetic force, by bonds and orbits and memory. But gravity is stronger here. It speaks more loudly. It overrides. And so those bonds begin to stretch, to bend, to break. The Earth becomes not a globe, but a thread, long glowing, thinning, like a comet's tail of history, a filament of rock and water, iron and cloud. And you're still here, drifting gently above the unraveling. You feel no pain, no fear, only awe or utter destruction. But at gravity's quiet precision, there is no malice, only mathematics. only mass and distance and time. The universe is not cruel, it is honest. And in this honesty, a planet has reached its limit. You watch as the last curve of Earth. The air is gone. The sound has no place. Only silence remains. And that silence feels full, full of memory, full of everything Earth once held. Language, music, forests, cities, laughter, sorrow, rain, all of it stretched now into a glowing thread winding inward. You follow it, not because you must, but because you can, because the story isn't over. It has only entered its most mysterious chapter. What happens inside? What lies beyond the point where gravity takes all? In the next chapter, we pass through the event horizon and follow matter and memory into the place where space forgets how to hold shape. Now you cross the line, not the visible kind. There is no line to see, no flash, no sound, no sensation at all. You appear frozen, paused forever on the brink. But from where you are within, you move forward, still drifting inward, down a path no light can take back, a journey that no observer will witness. And yet here you are, crossing not into fire or chaos, but into stillness so deep it hums in your bones. Everything you've known, up and down, before and after, mass and motion begins to blur. The space inside a black hole is not emptiness, it is space bent inward on itself, a spiral without end, a fall without floor. Here, gravity is not simply strong, it is absolute. No direction leads outward anymore. Every possible path folds inward, toward the center, toward the singularity. That word singularity isn't something you can see or point to. It is a place where the equations fail, where the curvature of space becomes infinite, where the known laws of physics begin to stutter and fall silent. But you drift on. Matter here begins to forget what it once was. The pieces that made up mountains, oceans, cities, all the molecules, the elements, the memories woven into mass begin to stretch beyond recognition. Atoms pull apart, not in fire, but in fatigue. Their orbits unravel. The force that once held electrons in place can no longer stand against gravity's command. You pass fields of dust that were once stone, once flesh, once air. Now they are something quieter, unlabeled, beyond identity. In this place there is no orientation, no left or right, no forward or back, only inward, always inward. And yet you are calm because nothing rushes here. It is the most peaceful surrender. And still you drift closer now to what some call the core, the heart, the center, though such words may not apply. For this isn't a place in space, but a shape of space itself. You think about the Earth, now long behind you, its pieces stretched into this spiral. What is left of it now? Not continents or clouds, not language, but perhaps information. Some scientists believe that what falls into a black hole is not destroyed, but transformed, encoded, written into the surface at the edge. A kind of cosmic memory. Maybe Earth is still here, not as a globe, but as a pattern, a quiet signature folded into the structure of space. And maybe you are too. Not your body, not your breath, but your being. A thread woven into gravity's deepest knot. You pass what cannot be named, and you feel it, not as fear, but as awe. The same awe you might feel standing beneath the night sky, not knowing what lies out there but knowing it matters. It may loop, it may fold, it may connect to somewhere else. Someone else. Some believe that singularities could be gateways, not endings, but tunnels. Could this be the bridge to another universe, another birth? No one knows. But here, inside, possibility opens like a scheme, not with answers, but with wonder. You float in this deep uncertainty, weightless, thoughtless, but aware. What is a black hole if not a place where knowing lets go and mystery takes its turn? You are part of that mystery now. Not falling, not flying, becoming. Can meaning survive where space dissolves? You drift now through the deepest fold, to trace just space becoming something else. You're approaching what scientists call the singularity, but already you sense it. This center isn't like any place you've ever known. It isn't in space, isn't flattened, it's curved, steep, steepest, until down becomes everything. Until the dimensions you once trusted curl in on themselves, like paper set to flame. You reach the region where equations stop working, where gravity becomes infinite, and yet the size becomes zero. Not nothing, just nothing you can measure. Not empty, but too full to name. And it's here in this unplace that the old rules give. Time no longer flows, or maybe it flows in every direction at once. You float in this moment, not lost, but adrift. This isn't chaos, it's precision beyond understanding. Like music played at a frequency you can't hear, only feel. Perhaps this is the final step in matter's journey. You think of Earth again, and its thread, its stretch, its unraveling. All of it wound inward, layer by layer, memory by memory. Where is it now? Where are you now? All the information, just scrambled, encrypted, folded across the surface of the event horizon like a cosmic hologram. You pause. The idea feels strange, but also strangely comforting, because maybe nothing is truly lost. Maybe the universe keeps a record in a language we don't yet understand. Maybe Earth is written here as curvature, as resonance, as potential. And maybe this center isn't a point at all. Not a dot, but a door. Not an end, but a narrowing. A passage through something so tightly curved it emerges elsewhere. Scientists whisper about such possibilities. White holes, wormholes, bridges between universes. No light, no sound, but awareness still hums. And then a shift, not a motion, but a release. The curve beneath you begins to open just slightly, just enough. Is it real, or imagined by a mind unfolding with the very shape of space? You don't know, but you feel something beyond. A softness, a lightness, not of light, but of change. A quiet unfolding in a place that was never supposed to let go. You are past the center now, if there ever was one, and still you move. Still you wonder if space can curve inward so completely. Can it not also curve back out? In the next chapter, we explore the theory that nothing is ever truly lost, that you move now through soft uncertainty, not rising, not falling, but floating in a thought, a question. What if Earth, its stone and sky, its forests and oceans, its people and paths and stories, is not truly gone? What if the end was only a change of form? Inside the black hole, you've seen space curve, time bend, matter unwind, but information, the fine details of what things are, where they've been, how they fit together, might not vanish. That's what many scientists believe now. It began with paradox. Stephen Hawking once argued that black holes destroyed information. The laws of quantum mechanics, the rules that govern the tiniest pieces of the universe, say that information cannot be destroyed. It can be changed, scattered, hidden, but never erased. So which truth holds? You drift in that question between two ideas, one of disappearance and one of conservation. And then comes the next twist. Black holes may not last forever. They evaporate, not quickly, over trillions upon trillions of years, but slowly they radiate energy, lose mass, shrink. You imagine it now, the black hole you entered, once vast, growing smaller, atom by atom. What happens when it reaches its final size, when it has nothing more to shed? Some say it vanishes in a final flash, not a perfect globe with continents, not a replay of rivers and cities, but a pattern, a code. Imagine folding a map so many times it becomes a dot, but still contains all the folds, all the roads, all the names. Now imagine unfolding it again. Could Earth be rebuilt? Not by accident, not by magic, but by memory, by math, by the deep tendency of the universe to carry echoes forward. You think now of entropy, how everything moves toward disorder. But even in disorder, there is trace, a fingerprint, information embedded in the drift. If someone or something could read that pattern, could decode the way particles once fit together, they might recreate what once was. Maybe not exactly, maybe not identically, but perhaps something close, a version, a mirror, a melody, composed again from the memory of its sound. You look around, not with eyes, but with mind. You sense a hum, not noise, but persistence. The idea that nothing is lost, that somewhere in the weave of this space, if Earth returns, so might the air, the trees, the small kindnesses whispered on porches, the footsteps in snow, the rivers carving old paths. It wouldn't be the same, but it might be enough. Enough to begin again. In the language of black holes, in the curling of time, a soft backup waiting, and the black hole, once the destroyer, might become the keeper, the one who holds the memory so the story can be told again. In the next chapter, we drift through that idea. The black hole you entered, once immense, once consuming, has nearly faded. What was once unstoppable gravity is now the faintest glow, the last breath of something once vast. And in that glow, there may be a story still unfolding. Hawking radiation has done its work. Slowly, over eons, the black hole has leaked its essence back into the universe. Not in shouts, but in gentle pulses, trickle of particles carrying away mass, energy, and perhaps a something more, but an echo. The light here is soft, not the glow of stars, but the afterlife of endings. And in that afterlife, you begin to sense shape, not outlines, not forms, but suggestions, ripples in the way the radiation scatters, tiny asymmetries, hints, as if the black hole in its long silence was whispering out the names of everything it once held, one particle at a time, a blur of possibilities. Could that be Earth? Could those fluctuations be the echo of oceans, mountains, breath? Could that faint tremble be the memory of roots in soil, of thunder over valleys, of footsteps through snow? Remains, just hidden, just quiet, waiting for someone or something to listen closely enough. You wonder now who might hear this echo. Another intelligence, another universe, some future mind capable of unfolding these whispers into meaning. Or maybe it is not for anyone. Maybe the universe sings its memory only for itself, not to preserve, but to honor. Here, a sense of closure without finality. The black hole is gone, but the space it curved, the memory it held, lingers. You think of Earth again, not as a ball of rock, but as an idea, a place where atoms arrange themselves into trees. Laughter, language, song, where matter became thought, and thought looked up at the stars. You close your eyes, or something like that, and just listen. No sound but rhythm, no music but harmony. The echo is not loud, and it does not demand attention, but it surrounds you like a memory of a memory, a scent carried on a still air. And the echo is not absence, it is presence that has changed shape. You drift onward, still held in the softness of space, knowing now that even black holes do not erase, they reshape. Of Earth, a seed in the dark, a trace left behind, waiting perhaps to be unfolded again by time, by memory, by light yet to return. In the next chapter, we rise again out of shadow into the stars that watched this all unfold. The ancient witnesses, burning silently above. You rise now, not through air, not through matter, but through quiet, up from the echo, through the space where the black hole once lived, into the openness beyond. Here the sky is no longer curved inward, now released. And above you, endlessly above you, the stars remain. You have seen collapse, unwinding, gravity's slow unravel. You've passed through the threshold where matter forgets, where memory softens. But here, the stars still shine. You drift gently into their presence. They do not speak. When Earth was born, they watched when the black hole stirred, and now they watch you return. Each star is a sun, a ball of fire, fusing atoms into light, steady in its own rhythm. Some are young, burning fast and blue. Some are old, red, and tired. Some pulse with slow heartbeats. Some have already died, but their light is still traveling millions of years across space, still arriving. You float through this soft crowd of brilliance, not close enough to burn, just close enough to feel the warmth of existence. There's comfort in this. After the bending, after the end of shape and sound, the stars are still here, unaffected by the black hole's hunger, uncurled by its reach. You think of them as ancient eyes, not seeing in the way you do, but present, noticing, enduring, holding the fabric steady while parts of it fold inward. You pass a red giant, bloated, glowing softly. His light is slow, like embers breathed. On gently, nearby, a white dwarf spins, a leftover core, dense as memory. And further out clusters, great gatherings of stars, moving together like flocks. Each one is a story, a beginning, a waiting, a death, perhaps yet to come. You remember now that Earth's atoms were born in stars like these, forged in fusion, scattered in explosions. And maybe those atoms will be stars again one day. Maybe the black hole didn't end the story. Maybe it just folded it for another chapter. Out here, the universe stretches wide. The stars make no claims. They hold no urgency. They are simply present, and that presence is peace. You drift between them, weightless, timeless. The silence is not empty. By the black hole's echo, they continued shining. They continue still. They remind you that for all the gravity that pulls, there is also balance. For every fold, there is a stretch. And for all that was unwound, something remains. Because these stars saw everything and kept glowing, and they will keep glowing still. Long after Earth, long after the black hole fades, long after memory becomes rhythm, they will be here. You pass now through the arms of a spiral galaxy. Perhaps it is your own, perhaps it is not, but it feels familiar. The light here curves not from warping, but from the spin, the shape, the swirl of time and mass. You move with it, not as a visitor, but as part of it, like a leaf in a river, like a breath in a dream. And far ahead or far behind, the soft trail of a black hole's journey glows faintly still. Not threatening, not forgotten, just part of the pattern. Now you understand something new, that stars and black holes are not opposites, they are siblings, that time can shine or slow, that the universe contains both fire and foe, and you are made of both. You carry stardust, and you have passed through shadow. So you rest here among the stars that do not speak but do not need to. Their presence is enough, and they will still be here as the universe grows older, as space expands, as new black holes are born and fade. In the next chapter, we drift toward the outer edge of everything, not an ending, but a question. When space itself has no border, you drift now with no direction. Not because you are lost, but because space offers no up, no down, no center, no edge. You're a leaf on an endless sea, and this sea has no shore. The black hole lies behind you, its echo fading, its lessons folded into your memory. The stars burn quietly above and below, though above and below are only habits of thought. Out here, everything is motion, but nothing needs to arrive. You are simply moving, and space itself, it doesn't stop. There is no cosmic wall, no fence. At the farthest galaxy, no velvet curtain that falls. There is only more space, more time, more becoming. You begin to sense it now, not as distance, but as scale. The universe is not a room you're floating through. It's not even a shape. It is the fabric from which all shapes arise. It expands not into something, but into itself. Galaxies drift apart, not because they're moving through space, but because space is growing between them. Like dots on a stretching balloon, they separate without ever moving. And the balloon, it has no edge. To imagine yourself sailing toward the end of space, but you would never arrive. You'd only find more stars, more blackness, more silence, more questions. Even if you traveled forever, you'd never reach a wall. There is no wall, there is only expansion. This can be hard to hold in your mind because you were raised with edges. This is a map that redraws itself as you move, a horizon that steps backward each time you approach. You float on now through this edgeless sea, and you realize you're not in the universe. You are part of it, not an outsider looking in, but a ripple in the ocean, a thread in the weave. Where you go, space goes with you. Even now, as the stars thin out, as light grows fainter, as galaxies become fewer, you're not approaching an end. You're simply sailing through change. Out here, the cosmic microwave background still hums, a whisper from the first light, from the moment space began to expand. It comes from every direction, not from a corner, but from the very fabric itself. A lullaby of origin, always present, always soft. And yet, even this background is changing. As space expands, that first light grows colder, longer, more stretched. The universe ages gently, not into silence, but into more space, more slowness, more possibility. You wonder now, is there anything beyond this universe? Is our infinite just one among many? You don't know? And that's okay, because unknowing is part of drifting. It leaves room for wonder. You pass now through voids, great spaces between galaxy clusters, not empty, but quieter, still. Even here, there are particles, radiation, possibilities, and you are still moving, not toward an end, but through something continuous. No edge, no arrival, only unfolding. It's spacious, welcoming, not crowded by meaning, but open to it. Everywhere you've been, Earth, the black hole, the stars that watched, they all live within this openness. The universe holds them, and it holds you. Even as you move farther from what you've known, you're not falling away. You are carried by space itself, and somewhere ahead there may be more. New stars, new beginnings, new collapses. But you're in no hurry to find them. For now, you float, cradled by a universe that has no walls, no edges, no elsewhere. Only this quiet, this light, this infinite drifting, and you exactly where you need to be. In the next chapter, you return not to a place, but to a feeling. The soft weight of gravity holding you again, a familiar rhythm in a shifting cosmos. You are falling again, but this time you're not afraid. Not falling into a black hole, not collapsing toward a singularity, not unraveling, just returning through space, through silence, through the long, soft breath of the universe. And as you fall, you begin to feel it again. Gravity, not the violent pull of a collapsed star, but the gentle weight of Earth's embrace, the kind that says you belong here. Slow bloom of stars. You see the sun again as its warm face, steady and golden, and they're spinning quietly in orbit. Earth, blue clouded hole, maybe it's a memory, maybe it's a future. But as you near, you feel the pull become familiar, not a drag, a comfort. You land without sound, on grass warmed by a sun that still rises. The air is soft. The trees sway with rhythms you remember, and beneath you, the earth holds you with its quiet curve. You lie down, you rest, and gravity wraps around you like a blanket. Not heavy, just present, just enough to remind you that you're part of this place. It only offers stillness. You gaze up. The stars wheel slowly overhead. Familiar patterns, ancient lights, and somewhere out there the black holes turn. But not here, not tonight. Here there is balance. A pause in the long unfolding of space, of time, the silence that swallowed sound, the memory folded into radiation, the stars that stood watch. And yet, after it all, you are still held by gravity, still held by Earth. The very first pull you ever felt before thought, before breath, it is still here, still gentle, still yours. You let your eyes close, not to escape, but to rest. The night moves slowly. A breeze passes by. Somewhere water laps quietly at a shore. And beneath it all, gravity hums, not in words, not in sound, but in the simple truth of weight, of presence, of being here. You're not drifting anymore. You're anchored, nested, cradled. The universe is wide and full and open, but it has made space for you right here, right now. Your body rests on Earth, and Earth rests in space, and space rests in motion, and all of it rests in gravity. You let go not of thought, but of holding. You don't need to hold anything. Not stars, not time, not wonder. Gravity holds it all, even your sleep. And so you sleep beneath the curve, beneath the breath of everything, beneath the stars and the stories and the pull of unseen things. Tomorrow may bring questions, more black holes, more unfolding. But tonight there is only this, a quiet world, a quiet body, a quiet falling into rest. In the next chapter, we'll begin again with new questions and a quiet light. But for now, stay here, curled in the soft gravity of sleep. Somewhere between sleep and waking, you begin to move again. Not fast, not far, but gently, like a leaf turning in still water. You are not rising from Earth's surface. You are rising through thought, through memory, through the edge of what comes after rest. And the universe, in its quiet, immense way, stirs with you. It has not ended. Even as black holes evaporate, as stars burn out, as galaxies drift away from each other in the long stretch of cosmic expansion, still something begins. The universe does not start and stop. It flows, it folds, it loops. From dust, stars form. From stars, planets form. From planets, oceans, and air and time. You've seen it end. You've watched Earth unravel. You've followed light as it bent, time as it slowed, space as it folded inward. And yet, here you are, drifting once more through the wide quiet, and somewhere ahead, or around, or within, a beginning stirs. It starts small, not a bang this time, but a breath, a pulse, a single point in a field of nothing that begins to bloom. Is it a new universe? A child of the last? You can't say. You don't need to. You only need to feel the warmth of unfolding. The dark gives way, not to light, but to potential. Particles emerge, not many, just enough. Just the first seeds of something. A quark, a photon, a flicker of symmetry. Not order yet, but the start of it. You float nearby. You are not part of this birth, but you are near it. You are witness. As the void curves slightly, as the laws of physics sketch their first lines, not drawn, but invited, energy becomes shape. Shape becomes form. Form begins to gather. Gravity, that soft and patient sculptor, arrives again. It starts to pull gently, creating clumps in what was once still the same gravity that held you on Earth, that bent space around black holes, now helps to form again. Not with weight, but with welcome. Atoms form, clouds swirl, heat emerges, and somewhere in this tender murk will be born. Not yet, but soon. You can feel the rhythm already, the pulse of possibility, the cadence of reassembly. Nothing is rebuilt exactly, but that doesn't mean it's gone. The universe doesn't repeat. It echoes. You wonder, will there be another Earth? Another blue planet wrapped in air, anchored in light, filled with motion and sound and thought? Will there be oceans, forests, hands that reach toward the sky and wonder who else is reaching back? Maybe, or maybe something new, something stranger, something just as beautiful. Because the universe does not fear mystery. It makes room for it, not rushing, not waiting, just resting. Because this is how it moves. Expand, cool, curve, contract, exhale, begin again and again. No edges, no ends, just rhythm. You carry no map now, no coordinates, but your direction is forward, outward, inward, all at once. Because beginnings are not places, they are motions, they are invitations, and this one has already begun. You drift onward through the softness of this new dawn, not a sunrise, but a stirring. You don't need to understand it, you only need to feel it. The universe is not finished. It never was. In the final chapter, you will return one last time to the gravity that holds you, to the mystery that invites you, and to the sleep that started it all. You lie still now, not in motion, not in orbit, not unraveling, just resting. And in that stillness, you begin to sense what has always been true. You are made of this. The elements in your body, carbon, calcium, oxygen, were born in stars that lived and died long before Earth. Their light passed through time, was scattered, caught, woven into you. The atoms in your hands were once part of a nebula. The iron in your blood, forged in the collapse of a sun. You're not on the universe, you're of it. Every breath you take echoes the first expansion. Every heartbeat follows the rhythm of orbit and spin. You're gravity's guest, light's reflection, space's memory, and all of that can rest now. You do not need to travel farther tonight. You do not need to solve the mysteries of time or black holes. You've seen enough. You've felt enough. You've drifted far and returned whole. So let yourself sink. Let gravity hold you. Not pull, not drag. Just cradle, the way Earth always has, the way stars always did. The universe will keep unfolding. New galaxies will spiral. New stars will burn, and new worlds will rise. And you will still be part of it, even as you sleep, even as you dream. The cosmos is wide, but it is never far. It is within you and all around you, and it is quiet now, so you can be too. Let your thoughts slow like the spin of a cooling planet. Let your breath deepen like the pulse of space itself. Tonight you are everything, and everything is safe, and everything can rest. Thank you for spending this time here, in the vastness, in the stillness, in the softness of wonder. If this journey brought you peace, I hope you'll stay with us. Gently subscribe and let the next story find you when you need it most. There's so much more to explore, but for now, just sleep. Let the universe hold you, and stay tuned for our next quiet voyage through space, through science, and through stillness.